Blackburn George, welcome to the Father's Day edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. How are you doing, Grandpa?
Hunky dory.
Good. So, George, has been a pretty significant week in the Arsenal world. What did you say?
Has it really? That remains to be seen.
Well, yeah. Well, George, I think that it was pretty significant because we had the signing of Marquinhos.
Yay!
What chump change?
Who's he?
Yes, and then we had the announcement of the good Fabio Vieira. I don't know what we're gonna call him, George. And I have them, good old Mr. Marquinhos in his bright pearly white smile there, and Marquinhos and Fabio representing Porto, the blue and white. And George, we are supposed to have Ehab coming in a little bit to give us I hope he makes it. Give us a scouting report on these guys. But Twitter, social media, mainstream media in Britain, all excited. How are you feeling about Mr. Marquinhos and Mr. Fabio Vieira?
I haven't got a fucking clue.
Well, George, neither do I. But we're gonna
neither do everybody else, by the way.
That's right.
Neither does anybody. All they've watched is from YouTube clips, and they might have caught the odd game where he was playing in Portugal. They don't know fuck all about him. They don't know anything. All we can do is hope that he turns out to be a good player. He's not a great player. He's not a bad player because we don't know what he is. And I'm sick of this. Every fucking year we get the same thing. We sign people under the next fucking saviour. And 6 months later, they're on loan. We're trying to sell them, or we've pushed them out the team. And the fantastic start they got is just a memory. How many of the players that we lauded as great signings would we take our money back for right now if we could get it? Right now.
George, I can answer that question. We're dying to get back our money for Pepe. All 170 million euros.
Pardon? No, it's not just Pepe. You look at fucking Partey, Ben White, £50 million a piece. Would you take that for them today? I'm fucking sure I would. It's. Let's hope this one's a good addition, and I'm sure it will be. It definitely adds depth. He's got potential. He's got the technique that we've been crying out for. We on this podcast have been complaining about a lack of technique for a while now. Well, we're getting it. So let's hope for the best. But let's be honest, that's what we're doing. We're hoping for the best. If we pretend that we know what that player is going to add, we're just fucking kidding ourselves. And we're trying to kid everybody that takes the time to listen to this crap. Because we don't know. None of us know, Shotta. None of us. But a lot pretend to know.
Yes, there's a lot of podcasts, blogs of people who pretend to know. And quite honestly, we don't. I mean, I was waiting. But first of all, Mr. Marquinhos does not even exist. Mr. Marquinhos does not even exist on transfermarket.com. He hardly exists. And welcome, Ehab. So we are just taking a flyer on him, as they say in horse racing, an absolute flyer. He's from Sao Paulo, But as you said, George, and Ehab, you're here.
Yeah.
These players.
I'm glad I got that in first.
What is it?
He didn't fucking hear me.
Ehab,
hey.
George just said, and the audience knows it, that we don't know anything about Fabio. We know less about Marquinhos. Fabio makes the who score.com, but but he hardly makes transfer market, and I looked it up because
Yeah.
of course transfer market is looking on his transfer history, so he has no transfer history, so they have nothing on him. Um, uh, but George was saying we're spending big money, especially on Fabio in particular.
Hmm.
A tradition we've had starting with Pepe, Ben White. We can talk about Tavares and Lacongo,
Party.
Partey, and for the money we have spent, we couldn't. Well, let's even back up. We can't get a shadow of the money we have spent on these players. But what do you think of these two? Are you concur? We're buying hope rather than expectation.
Yeah, actually, we, I like those two signings. To be honest, I
I
like
know you
Fabio.
would.
I looked at them. I have looked at them last 3 4 days, and they are not bad signings at all. They are not bad signings. The thing is, um, what's the plan? We are spending money on them. Fabio Vieira would have been a good would have been a signing that Arsene Wenger would have made. But the only difference is Arsene Wenger would have never spent 40 million on, um, because he's just a few information about Fabio Vieira. He's a backup at Porto. He still
Really?
hasn't cracked the starting 11. He plays. Sometimes he starts. Sometimes he doesn't. But most of the times he doesn't. Big games, they don't start him. He's like what Joe Willock used to be for us. And but he's really good. He's good. He has all the aspects to be a top player in this game. And he's Twitter is a cesspool. People are, yeah, Fabio Vieira only cost us 26,000 a week, um, which is we go on with the wage bill debate, and then they tell you he's a squad player or he provides depth. So we probably spent $26,000. We added $26,000 to a player we could have not bought. He used to make. Oh, by the way, he used to make 6,000 a week at Porto, so he has a 20,000 pound raise a week at Arsenal. The thing is with those young players, if he shines, he's gonna look for a bumper deal. He's going to look to get around the 100,000 mark at 23 or 24. Marquinhos is good. I've only found one game of Marquinhos on Footballia, which is this website. He's a lot like Gabby Martinelli. He's the guy that the ball sticks to his feet and he runs and runs and runs with it. He's gonna be exciting. The kids are gonna look at him and try to do what he does. He's just a speedy kid with the ball at his feet. It's just watching. I'm not gonna compare him to Messi, but he's like watching the young Messi run. He's really quick. The ball is really stuck to his feet. He changes directions really quickly. He makes good crosses. Fabio Vieira makes good crosses. I think maybe Arteta figured that he cannot find a way to attack through the middle and keeping the numerical advantage. So he thought, okay, let me pack a couple of good crossers into this team with Eddie and Gabriel Jesus down the middle, and they could just have tap-ins or score easy goals, and it's not a bad strategy. But I mean, uh, I've just said it to you in 30 seconds. It's easier said than done. He has to adapt to that again, and he has to learn how to do it. So I don't hate the transfers. They're really good transfers, but the money we are spending on the transfers, as you said, if we go back and we add up all the money we've spent on the transfers, we could have gone for big names, for big. we could have gone for players much bigger than this. Maybe the manager can't handle them. Maybe the new negotiation team can't negotiate with the big terms. It's a whole different new ball game when you sit down with somebody and say, "Hey, I want Haaland," for example, and the it's not like okay, I want the kid that nobody knows, and that this is
George is going, and I wanted him to debate this with you, but I'm going to remove him.
okay.
Um, but Ehab, I know you took a look at them. You went and saw you did better than most. You went and saw Marquinhos on
Mhm.
on some sort of YouTube. But and you tell us that good old good young Mister Vieira is a backup. But why are we spending so much money on on hope? I mean, is that how you try? Is, how is that any different than Ehab from what we've tried over the last 2 years since Arteta came in?
This is actually Vieira is a better option than we've signed in the past 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, Ben White is a good defender, but we bought him for one aspect. We paid 50 or 58 million for one aspect of his game, that he can press high. And if you go to the Champions League semifinals last year, where Arsene Wenger was a pundit, what he was a comment, he was on the studio talking about it, and it was between Manchester City and somebody else. I forgot who is, and he talked about Diaz, the defender they bought, um, and he said the thing is this defender makes the pitch smaller for the other team. It helps them press because when they find an outlet pass, Diaz is gonna come and press their attacker around the midfield line, and he's going to make the pitch smaller. First of all, you cannot pass it long if there's a defender coming quick, pressing your attacker. Second of all, once your attacker gets the ball, if you do a precise pass to your attacker around the midfield line, he's gonna press the attacker really well. And maybe Arteta was watching and he thought, oh, this is why we bought Diaz at City. And he went and searched for somebody who can do that. But on the other hand, it's like Ben White. But on the other hand, Ben White has drawbacks. He has drawbacks with the awareness. He has drawbacks with when the ball is crossed, high or low. He still has to learn it. 23 is not, or 24 is still not peak for the defender. It's still
But
not
uh, but
peak.
but Ehab, I'm gonna interrupt because I want to give George here. But we are spending big money on incomplete players,
Yeah.
right? George, we're doing a city here using big money. Am I just being a Grinch at Christmas? Are you just being a Grinch at Christmas? I mean, what kind of strategy is this, George?
Well, I'm not complaining about any of the spending that we're doing. I don't care. I don't even care that we spent 50 million on Party and 50 million on Ben White. I couldn't care less. We don't get the quality players City get because they're Manchester City and they can offer what we can't. They can offer titles. They can offer more money. So you get what you can. I've no problems with paying this amount of money for Vieira if he turns out to be good or if he turns out to be bad. It doesn't fucking bother me. It's the fact that we laud them as if they're the complete article and they're all going to succeed, and none of them, frankly, have. And let's hope he does. But this is my problem that we're doing. I think we're doing what we can. I said today that since Kroenkes took over 100% of the business, the club has been spending his money, and let's be honest, it's his money, like drunken sailors. We shouldn't be complaining about Stan Kroenke anymore. We should be licking his ass, not kicking it. He's done all he can. And I'm sure Arteta's buying what he thinks is the right profile, the right age, the right fit for his game. I'm sure they're doing all the right things. But we have to be realistic and say that it's all hope. We hope these players become top players. When you buy Bernardo Silva or even people like Jack Grealish or Rodri, you're not buying them in hope. You're buying them in the sure and certain knowledge that you get a certain standard that Guardiola might be able to improve on even further. We're buying the standard below that, hoping that they can come up to the standard that City are buying them at. So you can't expect to compete with them. So I think we have to be careful that we don't point at the club and say, "Oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong." They're doing the best, and they're spending fucking fortunes relative to how much we're earning and how much we can afford. It's been subsidised by the owner because it's his money, and I think we just have to say this is the best we can do. You see it all the time. We buy a player, and half of Twitter saying this is the best player in the world that we could have bought, and the other half saying he's shit and we should have been buying player Y instead of player X. None of us fucking know, and nobody's willing to just sit and wait and see what happens. If we just sat and waited to see what happens, the last year's 6 out of 6 window wouldn't have been getting called a 6 out of 6 window. We'd have waited until the end of the season and we'd have called it what it was, a 2 or a 3 out of 6 window. So I don't want to make the same mistake again. And we're talking here about we're going to be signing Jesus and
Lisandro.
Yeah, Lisandro, Tielemans. Well, let's see if we sign them, and then let's see how they fit in, and then let's see how good we are. But the club's doing what it can. Arteta's doing what he can. And that's all we can ask. All we can ask is that Arteta, good, bad, or indifferent, gets backed by the club. And the club are doing that. So what's to complain about at the moment? I don't fucking see the complaints. I also don't see the fucking celebrations because I don't see that we've improved our starting 11 in any way.
Well, if I had to go by Twitter and the mainstream media, I mean, I go on, when I say mainstream, George, I go online and to see what they're saying. So they're saying that we have a successful transfer policy. Ehab. I mean, I did give last year the 6 of the 6 we brought in. We assessed that probably only 3 were a success. Maybe and that's an aggressive number. But can Arteta pull this off? Where's he?
Define what he wants. As I said, I was against the transfers and against the spending because he's still learning the ropes. He's still trying to know, okay, which system am I gonna play? How am I gonna break defenses? If it doesn't work, if this manager counters me this way, then how do I attack? How do I make my system the main one in a game? There's a difference. Sometimes you come into a game. There's a reason why like when Wenger was here, and I'm sorry to bring Wenger up again, we never changed the way of our play. If it was Barcelona or Stoke, we are playing the same way, and people actually went after Wenger for that. Now the thing is, a good manager just imposes his system on the game. If I changed my system just to accommodate the other coach, then he's already won. He's already played the way I want. I already played the way he wanted me to play. So if I play with my own system, I try to impose it on the game and let him adjust, let him come up with the ideas. And this is what big managers do. You don't see Klopp or Pep Guardiola defending in numbers. This is not going to happen. It doesn't matter what team they play against. If they play against Real Madrid or they play against PSG, they're always going to go for position. They're always going to keep the ball. So he still doesn't know. He still doesn't know how to do this. He still doesn't know if he wants to do this. He doesn't know if he wants to be in a counterattack. He doesn't. Still, those things are a little bit vague to Arteta. So he comes up with ideas, tries to implement them. They work a little bit, and he starts thinking, okay, maybe if I had a better player, maybe if I had a backup, so when Saka goes down or when this guy does so and so, I can use them. And this is how it goes. And I don't know if this is gonna work or no. As I said, I like all the players, even the six that we signed last year. I like them. I like the players that we signed this year. Extending Eddie, Marquinhos, Fabio. Even if we got Jesus and Telemans, they are all good players. And if you bought them with purpose in your mind, knowing what you're gonna use them for, then this is you bought the right players. The problem is when you don't know what you're gonna use them for. In a year and a half, they're gonna be deadwood. I was reading something on Twitter when somebody was talking about the players and they're mentioning, just sell Chaka, Nani, Pepe, um, who else? I forgot who else.
Ainsley Maitland.
Holding, Tavares, and Cedric. Yeah, let's get rid of the deadwood. And you look at it, and Deadwood, like Cedric and Tavares, we just bought like one guy 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, and the other guy 1 year ago, and they
Well,
already became Deadwood. Nobody says the manager went and signed them with no idea how he's gonna use them, and
George, does
now they're
let me,
playing.
let me put it to George, Ehab.
Yeah,
Does the manager have any idea? Do you think the manager has any idea how he's going to use them?
Yes, I'm sure he does. I'm
Hmm.
sure he's absolutely convinced he has an idea.
Hmm.
And that's what I like about him. There's a lot of things I don't like about him, but I like that he's convinced with his convictions. Now, whether they work or not is a different thing. But does he have an idea? Absolutely, he has an idea. He's not randomly buying. He's not an idiot. He doesn't fucking look at a player and not know that he's a good player. he, he has an idea of how he wants his team to play. And if they don't fit that system, then they're in trouble. The problem is, it looks like he's bought a lot of players that he thought would fit his system that's turned out he hasn't. But that's the mistake that every manager makes. There isn't a manager alive that hasn't bought players and they haven't worked. Fuck's sake, Klopp bought Ox off us for £40 million.
Hmm.
You know,
And
everybody makes mistakes. Alec Ferguson bought some real fucking duffers over his tenure. Even Arson bought somebody you thought after 12 months, you thought, the fuck's he bought him for? And he couldn't weigh it up. And it turns out he was crap after all. Scolacci, uh,
yes,
the left back, the Brazilian left back. What was his name?
um, what's his name? I'm looking at him. He has a name of the city he came from. What's the name of the left back that we had to sell after within 3 months? You have
Andre
Well, we
Santos.
didn't sell him after 3 months.
Was he Andre Santos?
yes,
Santos,
Andre Santos.
yeah,
Yes, yes. Listen,
everybody makes a mistake. Arteta will make mistakes. He has made mistakes. The problem is you've got to accept that when you make those mistakes, it costs the club a lot of money. Some clubs can ride that. And to be fair, it looks like we're riding it at the moment. We go on all the time about how much we've spent and how much we've wasted. We reckon what 200 to 300 million has been wasted. Well, if it's not, that's terrible. But right now, when you look at who we're buying, it doesn't seem to bother us. So we can move on. And that's fine. But if we end up £1 billion in debt and all of a sudden Stan Kroenke throws his fucking hands up and says, I can't keep doing this, lads. Fucking hell, that's it. Then we're in this shit because it's his fucking money. And the fans and the media won't accept the fact that it's his money. The debt, our debt's now, 800 million, is it? At the moment, we are.
well, George, 2020, I was seeing 300 and something million, but
Oh, it's a lot more than that now. It's getting on. It's
600
massive.
something.
It's about £800 million now. That's his debt. That's his money. It's not the club's money, because if he sells the club, it's worth £800 million less when he sells it than it would be if that debt didn't exist. It's his fucking money. And if he eventually throws his hands up and says, I've had enough of this, then we're in the shit. But we're not in the shit at the moment because he's continuing to back Arteta. And Arteta's probably learning. We hope he's learning. Let's hope he gets these ones right. He's got a lot wrong up to now. And we just have to live with that. You know, it's easy to look back and say, I mean, Tavares, they're talking about selling him now. 8 months ago, we were saying how Tierney was going to struggle to get back in the team. You know, this is what we're reading on Twitter. Tierney will struggle to get back in the team. Tavares is a special talent. Then one bad fucking game, and we're wanting to get him out of the club. It's the problem is the fans don't want to give anybody any time to do anything. They want to be either negative or positive, and nobody's prepared to look at it in the cold light of day and say, everybody's doing the best. We're just not Manchester City, and we're not Liverpool.
George, you're not playing to the extremes here, George. You're fat right down in the middle. Come on, George, help us here. But all jokes aside, Ehab, you're very positive about the signings. Any cons? Because I set this up as a pro and cons, and nobody on Twitter wants to have pro and cons. Any cons from your point of view on these two players? And maybe you want to make a few comments on the others who are being lined up.
Yeah, actually, they're gonna need time. Actually, there's something about what George said is Arteta has gotten a lot wrong, and the main reason he's making the signings are he's afraid for his job. He wants to prove himself. He wants to keep his job, and those are not good reasons to sign players. Everybody is happy at transfer window. We bought the right players, blah blah blah. Arteta's building an army, and this is why I hate the people who don't say the truth, because what they're doing is they are building Arteta for no reason, just because they feel like they want to be supportive, and they have dug too deep now, supporting Arteta, and they can't say that anything bad about him. Now they praise him when the signings come, and when we play like shit, they can't go back and say, okay, it's his fault. He couldn't accommodate those signings, and they blame the players, and this cycle keeps going on and on and on and on. And I don't mind blame Arteta as I wish they would give Arteta a 10-year contract today. I wish, and I would say, don't worry about your job, do the right thing, and this would be amazing, because as George said, you would give us this would put us on a lot of debt, and at the end of the day, Stan Kroenke didn't make his billions wasting money. He's not the guy that's going to say, okay, guys, you're a billion in debt. That's okay. Let's keep wasting money. He's going to stop. He's going to look at the papers. He'll look at the books one day, and he's going to say, guys, stop this crap. Let's stop it. I'm not spending any more money. I'm cutting this money off until this thing improves and starts bringing in money. And then what?
So that is your. I think from your George, the concern is, yes, Stan is spending money, but the underlying things that we're spending without a return. We're spending without an immediate return, and that's potentially at some point the pedal is gonna hit the metal. Is that what you're saying, guys?
They're gonna say, okay, we've been going at this wrong. We've tried spending, we've tried, packing it up with players, and whatever money you asked for, you got, just so we can get some revenue back, and there's no revenue back. And this has to stop one day, and it's not gonna take long. No billionaire keeps a business this big that's just leaking out money, that's keep losing for that longer time. It's gonna stop a year.
Can I just intervene here?
Yeah.
What you also have to remember is how much we're going up in debt doesn't matter if the value of the club is going up more than that. So
Is it?
if we owed 300 million 3 years ago and we owe 800 million now, that's an extra £500 million. If the club is now valued at more than £500 million more than it was then, we're in clover.
Yep.
That's the way it works. And I think it is. I think it is because when you look at how much they've sold Chelsea for, a shitty
Oh.
stadium, they don't own their own ground. They've
Mhm.
got players that are leaving on a free contract. The team's not going to be as good as it was last season. Uh, and yet they've sold it for what, £3 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
Arsenal's got to be worth more than that. It stands Kroenke at less than 2 billion. It's got to be worth more than 3 billion now. So even though his debt's gone up £500 million, he's still £500 million to the good. So he's not going to see that as a problem.
Oh yeah.
It's only going to be a problem when the debt's going up quicker than the value of the asset, or the asset starts to drop. But the asset will start to drop if we don't get back in the Champions League, and fairly fucking soon. You can only live off past glories for so long. And then
Exactly.
people will stop calling you a top club. They'll stop calling us a top club. And then we're in the shit.
Yeah, this is what's happening actually, George. In the last year of Arsene Wenger, our revenue from non-football, like it was 478. I think I gave it to Shotta one day. Today we're looking somewhere in the low 300 millions. There's 100 something million that dropped out of our revenue just because we're not that interesting anymore. We used to be the top club when the TV money came in. We got paid more than anybody else, more than Manchester United, more than Manchester City, more than Liverpool. The number one, like 110 million a year, went to Arsenal just to broadcast Arsenal matches, because Arsenal has fans all over the world. Plus, the kind of football that they play is entertaining. When you get Arsenal versus Manchester City, you're gonna get a good game. Arsenal versus Liverpool, you're gonna get a good game. You're gonna get a 4-3 or 3-3 or 3-2, and people are gonna
Arsenal,
be
sorry, Ian, you're right. Arsenal against anybody, you were going to get a good game.
a good
Even if
game.
they fucking lost.
Yes,
Even if
and people
Arsenal lost, it was a good game. It was
exactly, and people are
entertaining. It
gonna
was
watch it.
value for money for the TV companies. It's
True.
fucking not now.
True, true. And this is what people are gonna walk. This is what people used to see it. Plus, you got Champions League games and the round of 16s. I think in the last 10 years or 8 years of Wenger, we played the Champions League finalist 6 times. So the round of 16 was always a battle. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. This what Milan. This is what it always was. We played AC Milan. We lost 4-0 at San Siro. Came back, and within 20 minutes we were 3-0 up. I have friends who never watched football. We were watching this game, and they are like, "Man, this is amazing. This your team is really amazing." And we didn't have the best players. We had 18-year-old Chamberlain, Ox. We had 34-year-old injury-prone Riziki. We had Gervinho, Sanya coming back from an injury. It was not like our best team, but you still had beautiful football played against Allegri's AC Milan, which has Ibrahimovic, Boateng. It's a
Yeah.
huge team. And you look at them, and we used to play good football. This has to come back. The Champions League big games have to come back for the team to be growing. When Kroenke says, "I want to sell this team," he gets offers of 4 billion and 5 billion. Now, if this team keeps playing the way it is and keeps fading, we got eighth, and fifth. We got fifth that we don't deserve. Let's be honest. If we played the same exact way with the same exact results this year, we will be seventh. And we are got. I don't know if we're gonna break top four this year. I don't think so. But uh, Now, who's gonna watch a team that's going between eighth and fifth and sixth for 5 and 6 years? No, people are gonna, oh, Arsenal used to be blah blah blah, so and so and so, and we've been through this as Arsenal fans for a long time. We've been through this when Sir Alex Ferguson came and Wenger played him for the first time, and we had some kind of fight between us. Uh, Alex Ferguson went out and he said, "Well, Arsenal used to be a big club, and now they are acting like a big club again, although they are not." And
Ehab,
it was at the end of the game. This was the press conference that he gave. This was the interview that he gave, and he said, "Now they are trying to act like a big club, because we've had a period of time when we were kind of irrelevant. We had more scandals than trophies." And yeah, and I don't want this coming back. This is the problem, because this is, as George said, is gonna drop the value of the club.
well, guys, um, this is not much of our discussion of Marquinhos and Vieira. And to be honest, guys, we didn't do much of the discussion because there's not much to talk about. But in the context of the club spending, I think we had a good discussion. I want to agree with you on one note, that we are not as interesting as we are. I mean, I go on George's blog that has a lot of posters. Mine doesn't. Let's be honest. And I'm shocked by the number of hardcore Arsenal fans that say they don't watch us anymore. And I know of people, and I sense people, they don't watch they're Arsenal fans, but they don't watch our matches, and that is something that is concerning. I want to leave it at that. We've done 37 minutes of this, guys. We'll have Mr. Tielemans or Gabriel. So let's leave it at that. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
See you next week.
All righty, next week definitely.
Bye bye.
Bye, Ehab.
Bye.
All righty, bye.